like drug addiction. You got to want to help. You got to want to help yourself too. It's not, you just can't. I just can't come in and say, well, this is the problem. Do this or do that, and don't do that, and magically everybody's happy. It takes effort from everybody, and usually somebody's done something to bring that problem on. Now, not always, because sometimes land's haunted or houses are already haunted when you move into them. But besides that, I mean, people usually do something to, even unbeknownst, invite it in. So, and when I try to figure that out, and we work from there.
Yeah, and there are, I would imagine, certain protections that you can teach them or deal with in helping them get over this process. Do you have kind of a checklist of things that you look for when you go into a unique situation like a haunting?
Oh yeah, everyone is unique. There's a lot of them have similarities, but none are alike. I have a whole protocol of questions I go through, and some of them are kind of personal, but you know what? It all comes back to them. They have to be honest. You got to be honest with me and themselves, or I can't help them. You know, so once they can get over that maybe being ashamed of whatever they did, maybe they caused it or whatever, and just be honest and let me know what's going on and answer all the questions. Then it really helps to figure out what it is, what caused it, where it came from. And once you know that information, then you can proceed forward to helping evict the problem or get rid of it or help them with much information or protection or whatever it may be.
Yeah. And do you also find that you have to work with each individual's spiritual background, find out, what their beliefs are to help them as well?
Yeah. Oh, yes, that's key. Whatever their higher power is, that's what you got to go with. In other words, I can't go into some place. Somebody is say they're a Hindu or something. I can't be forcing Catholic beliefs down them or even Indian beliefs. It's got to go with what they believe in, basically their higher power, and use that to their advantage as their protection, as part of their answer to help them.
Yeah, and I would imagine that some people really are not in touch with their spirituality to a level that they maybe need to protect themselves. Now, most people, I think, just go through life probably being unawares of the pitfalls around them.
That's so true. And the thing is, just because you don't believe in something, that does not make you exempt. Trust and believe me on that one. It just doesn't. And eventually it will come up and bite you. It will get you. You can't just do whatever you want on some things and bring things in and not believe in nothing and think it will go away, because it just won't happen. Yeah,
and I would imagine they're calling you, or at least you're learning about their problem, because whatever they've tried doesn't work at that point.
Right. And sometimes people don't realize, because that's what's going on nowadays. You got so much technology and social media and TV programs. People watch something and think, oh, well, I'll do this. And actually it's like poking a bear in a bag. It makes it worse. Makes it worse on them. Makes it something more angry, more vicious, more vindictive. And you got to be careful what you're doing.
Yeah, I'll bet. That's an educational thing that you're providing for your clients as well. Obviously, is let them understand that they need to be discerning out there and keep an eye on what's going on, because I don't think some people realize how serious it could be. When they're out there doing things, or even watching television shows, they might even have some consequences for doing.
Right, and just over the last 2 years alone, I have helped a lot. I mean, a lot of mediums. I've helped a lot of psychics. I've helped a lot of people that thought, well, this is a fun thing. Let's do this as a hobby and go out and put a team together and go investigate. And sometimes you don't realize what you're getting into. And with teams wanting to get together and investigate, there's more out there than just Casper-friendly ghost. And not only that, with the psychics and mediums, sometimes they don't realize that they need to protect themselves way more than most people, because they're like beacons in the night. To all spirits, good or bad. And what happens is they don't realize that, or they let their guard down, and next thing you know, they've got a few visitors that, followed them home. And then, that's when the party really starts, and not a good one.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. And, we hear more and more of these reports because of social media, because of, all these ghost investigative shows that we see on television, the History Channel and everything. There's more and more of these things out there in the public, and you wonder if that's being manifested by these people's interest in this subject as well.
Oh, it glamorizes it so much, and people got a different perception of it. They think it's fun, and let's face it, a lot of people are self-serving, and they want to get out there and get them self-serving thrills and stuff. And I'm going to tell you something: there should be disclaimers, at least a 2-minute one, saying on these shows, "Don't do this. There's consequences," or whatever, something, because people they don't realize what is going on around them all the time. You can't see it, but it's there. Believe me, it's there, waiting to pounce.
Yeah, I'll bet. Oh my gosh, you just hit a chord with me, the paranormal lawyer there. There should be disclaimers on these kinds of shows because obviously they're broadcasting into people's homes, and time is probably non-local, and you never know what's going on when people concentrate on that kind of a thing. So do you have, James, some interesting equipment that you bring with you, or are you just using your intuitive skills when you go into a situation like this?
I like to use all of it because I look at it like this. If you can use many things to validate one thing, that substantiates it way more. And you surely can relate to that being a lawyer. If you've got 3 or 4 things that you can definitely validate one thing that is occurring, that makes it more solid, more credible. So when I go to a place, I usually like to go myself or a couple of people. I don't like to have more than 4 people because it just sets up things for disaster. But I'll walk through it, and I can just use myself and feel things. I know sometimes I can see spirits, and sometimes I can hear them. I definitely can feel them. And then I'll go back through, and we'll use EMFs or millimeters or definitely voice recorders and film. And we'll look all that stuff over, and you'd be surprised some of the stuff I have caught. It's just over the last, 6 months alone, not to mention 30 years. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's get into some of those strange anomaly that you've come across. That would be fascinating for our listeners to hear. Okay.
Well, the last investigation I'd done was, let's see. I've been trying to take some time off, but last one I did was, I believe, it was in October. I can't remember the date. Oh, October 17th, matter of fact. Okay, went there. It was in Medina, Ohio, cemetery, and it was about 10 p.m. at night. Now, it was at the end of a ghost tour walk, and this was the whole town was haunted. My goodness, it was unbelievable. I seen 3 or 4 spirits just walking around the town. But anyway, we get to the cemetery, and I could see the spirit of this caretaker just plain as day, just like looking at a person. I mean, it was dark out, but I could see him. He was about, 20 yards in front of me. But it was almost like, how Bigfoots peer out behind a tree and go back and forth. That's what he was doing.
Ah.
And yeah, and he wasn't. He was kind of telling me he was hesitant about coming out because there was 25 people there in the tour. He didn't want to be a spectacle. He didn't want to be on, on center stage or whatever. So anyway, the people left. So once they left, I walked back up there, and he was still behind that tree peeking out. I just asked him, "Hey, can you come out and let me take a picture of you?" He walked out, took a few steps. I snapped 3 pictures in a row. Didn't think nothing of it because honestly, usually just because I can see them, they don't show up on film. Sometimes they just don't show up on film, whether they want to or don't want to. I don't know how it works. Sometimes they don't, but I always take at least 2, 3 in a row from the same position. That way it validates we've got something on one pick and nothing on the other pick. There's something going on there. So I get home, didn't think nothing of it. I looked at the pictures, and plain as can be, there he is, boom. And I posted, it's on my timeline, and I posted on a few of my groups, but it was amazing. The original picture, you can't see him, it just looks dark. But I could see him with my eyes. So I pulled it out and lighted it up, and boom, he's plain as day right there. And that was my last investigation.
Wow, and if people want to see that photograph, they go to James-creachbaum Jr. on Facebook, or where do they find that?
Yeah, you can do that on Facebook. I don't know if anybody can see my stuff on timeline, but you should be able to. Just scroll down far enough, you probably see it there. It's on there somewhere. And then I don't know. There was another investigation I did in August. I did down at Gretchen's Lock, which is a big state park in Ohio, down by the river. And I went down there. It was an overnight. I was there almost a day and a half, 2 days. There was a lot of spirits floating around. There's a lot of history. Matter of fact, Pretty Boy Floyd was shot and killed there. And did an investigation there. I went to this old building, and I could see 4 or 5 spirits like cowering in the corner. I could see them with my own eyes. It was, it's weird to say that, but I could see them.
Wow.
And the lady with me, she couldn't see them, but she could feel them. So I always use my abilities, what I can feel if I see them. Then I used to take my camera and I snapped 2 pictures in a row. Didn't think nothing of it. A month later went by, and I looked at the pictures, and I takes forever to look at evidence, and I'd be behind. And then I posted some of my groups, and let my members look, because I might miss something. I've got so much going on, I can't see everything. And sure enough, one of my members said, "Oh my goodness, you got a picture of a woman's face," and that's on my timeline too. It's plain as day. You can see her, just plain as day. It came out. It was on one pic, but not on this other pic. So I mean, that validates it. And it's amazing pic. It really is. And,
and is this a digital, just a normal digital camera? Is this a phone, or what are you using to capture these images?
It depends whatever I got with me at the time. Sometimes I have a digital camera. Sometimes if I don't have it on me, I'll use my phone. I think that one there might have been my phone, I think, because I wasn't even supposed to be investigating at the time. I was just looking over things, and the lady was just saying, "Well, here's a building we're going to do tonight. We're just going to do it later on." I just happened to look in and see them, and I thought, let me take a couple pics. I didn't even have my equipment on me at the time. We was just kind of like pre-scouting what we was going to do later on.
Yeah.
It was just one of the spur of the moments. And, it's a funny thing is, went there later on, and they were there was more people. See, there was more people later on, and they just didn't want to participate.
Yeah. So they have, do they have an ability to manifest themselves and cloak themselves at will? How does that work?
What I have found they have ability to let people see, certain people see, and other people's not see. They have the ability to project in other words, they have the ability to project what they want you to see. In other words, because I've always asked, why are spirits not naked? Because their clothes didn't die, but they have the ability. You know what I mean? So, but they have the ability to project certain clothing that they're wearing, or how they look, or in other words, if somebody 90 years old dies of cancer, they could project themselves when they were healthy at 30 or 40. I mean, that's just. That's what I have found in my world in my lifetime.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That spirits will pick maybe a time in their life they feel comfortable with, or something to depict themselves at a certain time that has nothing to do with what they would have looked like or where they were at the time they died, right. Or do they usually hang around the areas that they passed away at, or do they go back maybe to their childhood where they had better memories? Where do they usually hang around once they're in that state?
Okay, well, there's a lot of variables that go into this. Number one, first of all, when you die, after you die, there's going to be a window for you to cross over. Now, there's a whole gamut of reasons why a spirit wouldn't cross over. Maybe they're afraid to go to hell because of their religion. Maybe they are so attached to a person, a place, or a thing, or an object, whatever it may be. Or maybe they have unfinished business, or maybe they just don't even know they died. And so whatever the reason may be, they haven't crossed over. So now they're stuck here. Once they miss that window, they're stuck here. Until they find a way to cross over, or a medium helps them cross over, or they realize they can, whatever it may be. So then they're stuck at a place, or attached to an object or whatever. Now, the ones that do cross over, they can come back and visit or check in on people from time to time. My grandfather checks in with me all the time. He protects me. He's here most of the time with me. I think he's behind me now, matter of fact. But, I mean, that's just what goes on. Now, with that said, whatever you are in life, you are in death, except if you're a